it's interesting how the subject is the lowest of humans. So why is Prabhupada talking about the highest of humans that sees Krishna everywhere? He's quoting this verse from 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 18. We can look at that, 5:18. But that's what he's referring to, this verse. You want to read that one when you found it?
Yep, got it. Just a translation.
Yeah, it's a translation.
The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see the equal vision, a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater.
Yeah, so that's exactly what Prabhupada's quoting, and what we're reading now is this verse. So this is the vision of a topmost devotee. He sees that God is within everything. God is within the plants and the animals and the birds and the beasts and the humans and everywhere like that. So he sees God everywhere. So why is Prabhupada bringing this up in regards to the lowest of humans? And then he mentions that one example of the topmost humans is Nityananda, Lord Nityananda, who's an incarnation of the spiritual master, and he sets out a mission to deliver two really low class people named Jagai and Madai. And they were number one, gundas, dacoits, everything like that, did every single sin imaginable like that. So he set it out to deliver them, and he did. And he actually turned them into devotees, and they gave up all their bad behavior. So that's why Prabhupada's bringing it up, that the only hope for these, Naradamas, the lowest of humans, is if devotees go out and try to uplift them, try to raise them up, try to uplift them. That's the only way to try to raise up these lowest of human beings. And
that was what you did with me, Prabhu.
Well, someone did it with me as well. That's why I came into it, because someone went out and lifted me up. I mean, I was a real Naradama, so someone, a real atheist and everything. So someone lifted me up, and then once you get lifted up, then you help someone else, you help lift someone else up. That's our duty. That's our duty, like that, to pass it on like that. Don't let the mercy stop with us. So yeah, Lord Nityananda extended his mercy to someone, and then they got lifted up, and then they extended their mercy to someone else, and that's the disciplic succession. That's the parampara. That you become a disciple, and then you follow the process and become a guru, and then you help another become disciple, and then they in due course they become a guru, and then help someone else like that. So that's the process. But it's me. Prabhupada finishes off, it's only by the mercy of a devotee, that we can revive our spiritual consciousness like that. So there's no other way really than getting the mercy of a devotee. We could say, well, no, I became Krishna conscious by prasadam, not by a devotee. But yeah, a devotee cooked it. It doesn't come out of thin air. Or I became Krishna conscious by the holy name. Yeah, but you heard some devotees singing the holy name.
Leading, yeah.
I became Krishna conscious by getting a book. Yeah, but someone gave you the book. So it's always a devotee's mercy is there. If the devotee didn't have that mercy in their heart to go out and distribute prasadam or the holy name or the book, then no one would become Krishna conscious. We would all remain Naradamas. We'd be born a Naradama and die a Naradama. And because it's mentioned, it was the one we read last week, that it's because that the 10 samskaras are not being done anymore in Vedic culture. Previously, they would do all the samskaras, so they're attracting a very elevated soul to take birth because they're performing Gavadan samskara and all these things. they're expecting a very elevated soul to take birth. So you've already got a very pious soul there, and then you're educating them further with the initiation, samskara, and there's 10 right through life, like that, and they're becoming more purified all the time, like that. But Prabhupada's mentioning, because now in Kali Yuga none of these samskaras get done anymore, then we're all born like Sudras, very low class, and he mentions 99.9% population of Narodhama. So like that, and then, so guaranteed we're going to start off as a Narodhama. Yeah, there's no question about that. But then we can be raised up, and that's by the mercy of a devotee. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. If all the devotees just sit at home or sit in the holy places and don't go out, then there's no hope. It's like Prabhupada, if he hadn't left the very comfortable temple he was sitting in Vrindavan, if he hadn't left that and gone to the West, where would we all be? Still in our same situations, like that. But because he went out and his out of the love of his heart, mercy in his heart, he compassionately trying to help others, and then we became uplifted. Okay, so you want to say anything about that?
No, it's self-explanatory. No,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yes. Okay, so let's continue then. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in propagating the Bhagavata Dharma, or activities of the devotees, has recommended that people submissively hear the message of the personality of Godhead. The essence of this message is Bhagavad Gita. The lowest amongst human beings can be delivered by this submissive hearing process only, but unfortunately they even refuse to give an oral reception to these messages. And what to speak of surrendering to the will of the Supreme Lord? Naradamas, or the lowest of mankind, will fully neglect the prime duty of the human. Willfully neglect the prime duty of the human being.
Yeah. So how that the Naradamas can be lifted up is by hearing about God, by either hearing from God directly, like Bhagavad Gita is you're hearing directly from God, or you're hearing about God from a devotee, and that's like Srimad Bhagavatam. It's you're hearing about God from devotees, like that. You're hearing from Lord Brahma about Krishna, and Lord Shiva about Krishna, and the four Kumaras about Krishna, and Shukadeva Goswami about Krishna, and like that. So there's two kinds of Krishna Katha. One Krishna Katha is directly Krishna is speaking, that's like Bhagavad Gita, and another Krishna Katha is you're hearing from devotees about Krishna, like that. And through Krishna Katha is how the Naradhamas, the lowest of human beings, can become purified and uplifted by hearing from God and about God. But what's mentioned here is that one of the qualities of the Naradhamas is they don't
even want to listen.
Like, no, I'm not going to hear it. They say, and very common, like we would try to distribute books for many years, and people would say, no time, no time. They say, excuse me, I've got this book, spiritual book. Oh, no time, I have to go, like that, or get lost, go away, like that, because sometimes they're quite rude and obnoxious, like that. Sometimes they get angry that you try to talk to them about God, like that.
And my father was when someone come to the door, it's okay, all my friends are in hell anyway, or going to hell, so I'll just go there.
We'll have a good time there.
Yeah, that's right.
Mates are there.
Yeah. They don't want to
eat. Prabhupada tells a story. That some Christian priest went to a coal mine, and to preach. And he said that he's trying to frighten them, that if you don't surrender to Jesus, you're going to go to hell. And so the coal miner said, oh, well, what's hell like? Tell me what's hell like. He said, on hell, it's very dark and it's very cold. And like that, and because they were working in the coal mine, right? It's
very cold. Exactly like that.
So
already.
They said, "Oh, that doesn't sound so bad. That doesn't sound so bad, like that." And
I think they would have said it's hot, not cold, because it's under the ground. It's hot.
But no sunlight there, so it probably would be cold. There's no sunshine. I mean, it wouldn't be freezing, but it wouldn't be warm either. Whatever he said, but it was similar conditions, similar conditions to the coal mine as what he described hell was going to be like. So I said, oh, well, no, we're not really worried about that then. We're not worried about going to hell. So
he's already in hell.
Yeah, we're already in hell, so what's another hell? So he had to change his tactics. So he thought more carefully. And then he said, in hell, there is no newspapers. So, oh no, really? No newspapers? Oh, we can't live like that without a newspaper. Because, of course, that's the main thing they do, right? Read a newspaper and drink tea, like that's the main pastime. So in that way they said, okay, we'll become Christians, because otherwise we'll lose our newspaper, like that. So, but yeah, this is a situation, they don't want to hear, from someone talking about God like that. So this is the difficulty the devotee faces when trying to help uplift the Naradhamas. That they don't want to come out of it. And another story, that someone's fallen in a well, and someone up top reaches down and saying, come and someone reaches down and drops a rope. Someone drops a rope, and then the person at the bottom, if he says, make my hands grab the rope, that's not going to work. That's your job. He's giving you the. You have to take it. You have to grab it. The guy up top, he can't make you grab the rope. That's your part. You have to hold the rope. So that's that story, is that the person out of their kindness is dropping down the rope, which is like, it's like the Krishna Katha. That's like they're giving the instructions. But you have to take those instructions and follow them. It's like the man, he has to grab the rope. The guy at the top can't make him do that. So that's the difficulty, that we don't want to grab the rope. No, I'm not going to take it. No, I'm happy in the well. That's how ignorant that we are as a Naradhama, that we think we're happy in the material world. We don't see there's any problem. Why do we need to go to the spiritual world? It's perfectly fine, like that. So that's the illusion, and that's the Maya. That's the Maya. And Prabhupada would also mention, like, you could go into a hospital and, the people got their leg up in the air and they've got, needles all in their arms and everything like that. Horrible condition. And, all bright lights, hospital bright lights and everything. And smells really bad in there and everything. The food is disgusting. And but then you can go in and ask the patient, how are you? And what do they say? I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm all right. So, but what kind of fine is that? What kind of fine is that? It's all right. No, it's terrible. It's horrible. Suffering. But that's the Maya, that under illusion, we think we're okay. We think we're happy in the material world. So therefore, we've got no interest to get out of the material world, because we think this is our home. We've taken this, as to be our real home, as where the real happiness is. But this is the difficulty. Nevertheless, the devotees don't give up. They keep trying in different ways, like that. A secret weapon, actually, we have a secret weapon, is prasadam. Weapon, because everyone likes eating nice food, right? So, But the prasadam is like real magic because that's also Krishna. And, you know, it changes. I've seen people just transform just by taking prasadam, even without being aware of the philosophy and so many things. But just by taking prasadam, it just changes the heart of people. I think so thousands of people have become devotees, I think, just because of halva. Halva and, you know, cauliflower pakoras and tomato chutney and offered to Krishna and puris and paneer sabji and everything. You know, has attracted them to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
So that's the secret weapon, yeah. But yeah, it's very difficult, very difficult. Prabhupada tells about one cartoon where in the cartoon, the wife tells the husband, chant, chant, chant. And the husband replies, can't, can't, can't. So with the same amount of energy it took to say can't, you know, he could have just chanted. But such rebel, you know, so this is the problem, especially in Kali Yuga. We're very rebellious. Any authority kind of person that tries to tell us what to do, we tend to rebel against that and like that. Right? If you tell your kids, right, clean your room. Say, no, I'm not going to clean my room.
I don't try anymore. I just close the room door.
Probably it might work better if you tell the opposite thing to what you want, because they're, you know, they're so rebellious, right? They want to do the opposite. So say, whatever you do, don't clean your room. You know, please don't. And then they might just to rebel, they might do it. But yeah, it can be very difficult. We're very rebellious, and that's why in Kali Yuga, God doesn't come as God. He doesn't come and says, I'm God, everyone has to surrender, you know, like that, and practice devotional service and surrender, give up sinful activities. God doesn't do that in Kali Yuga. He does that in the other yugas. He comes as God. He doesn't come in disguise. But in Kali Yuga, he comes in disguise as a devotee. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of God for Kali Yuga, but he didn't come as God. He never said to anyone he's God. He says that he's a devotee of God, like, or trying to be a devotee of God, like that. So he's showing by his example how to serve God. So God is showing us by example how to serve God. He's not telling us to serve God. He is serving God. And it's very attractive because when Lord Chaitanya was serving God through chanting and dancing, it was like so beautiful to look at and beautiful to hear. It's like, and it said that he looked like just a lightning rod just spinning in the air. Sometimes he would jump when he was chanting, jump in the air and dancing and jumping, and he would spin in the air. And because he had a golden complexion and wore a golden dhoti and everything, it would look like just golden rod, you know, spinning in the air, and just completely amazing. And the sound of his voice, he would roar like a lion, roar out the holy name, and it was just so powerful. And yeah, very attractive. So wherever Lord Chaitanya would go, he would attract crowds of hundreds of thousands of people. Hundreds of thousands of people would come. And if he was across the river and people were trying to cross the river, they would all jump on the boats, and there were so many people, they'd capsize the boats. The boats would sink. But the people wouldn't sink, like no one drowned. Because by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, everyone just floated across the river. And they felt bad that the owner of the boat lost his boat. So they would take off their valuable clothes and ornaments and give it as compensation to the boat owner. So there's all this really crazy stuff happening. But no one got hurt, no one died, and there'd be thousands of people coming. Wherever he went, people would dig up the earth underneath where he stepped. So there'd be like big craters wherever he went, there'd be big craters because people would take the dirt from where he had walked and smeared it all over their head and their body and everything. And it was just amazing. It's so attractive, so attractive. So that's the recommendation, that, you know, that one of the best ways to help other people become Krishna conscious is by doing it yourself. And, you know, and of course, if you really enjoy following the lifestyle, following the activities yourself, then that's going to attract so many other people. But if you're not doing it, if you're not following the process yourself, and then you're just telling other people, it's like, you know, if you're smoking and you tell someone, hey, stop smoking, don't smoke, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Before you can tell someone to stop smoking, you have to stop smoking. You know, and that's acharya, you know, teaching by example, by you practicing it yourself. And that's very attractive, because the nature of the process is very joyful. Kevala Anandakanda, one of the Vaishnava acharyas in his songs, he says, Kevala Anandakanda. Kevala means only, and Ananda means blissful, and Kanda means the path or the process. So this is simply joyful, you know, as Prabhupada summarized this process as chanting, dancing, and feasting. So, and that's mainly what Prabhupada did in the early days, especially. Even in the early days, maybe, you know, not so much. There was hardly any books in the early days, hardly any books. Like I said, he only came with first canto Srimad Bhagavatam to the West. That's the only books he had. The first canto was there, and didn't even have Bhagavad Gita in the beginning. No other books, only first canto Bhagavatam. So slowly he was writing. But in the beginning, that's what he did. Like I said, he went to the park and was chanting and dancing. And then he would distribute prasadam. He would distribute prasadam. And in the very early days, he was the only one that knew how to cook. So he cooked it and he served it. Other people didn't even have the common sense, you know, that they should help out, you know. So this old man, you know, he's like 70 years old, and he had to cook it all himself for 50 people, 100 people, and then distribute the prasadam and then clean up afterwards, because they're all spaced out people. They don't even think, oh, let me help out and clean up. So he did everything, you know. But what that did was that just slowly melted people's hearts. Well, he's doing so much for us. I should do something now. Now I should do something. And actually, Jayanti told the story to me that how her sister was the first in the family to come to Krishna consciousness. That she would go to the temple, that they were famous for their samosas and other things, and she would go to the temple and just eat. You know, so you don't have to bother cooking at home, you know. So after a hard day's work, you don't want to have to go home and cook. I know, I'll just go to the Hare Krishna temple and eat nice food. And then later on, you know, she came to the Auckland temple, and the same thing. She'd done that in India. Just go to Juhu. She was eating samosas or whatever, wasn't he?
No, only in Auckland.
Oh, only in Auckland. Okay, so just in Auckland temple, she would go there with her husband, and they would just go and eat on Sundays, and so they wouldn't have to cook and go and eat there. But and then slowly they started thinking, well, we keep coming here and just taking, but we're not giving anything. So they've given us so much, and obviously that purified their hearts by repeatedly taking prasadam. So let's do some service. So then they volunteered to do some service, and then from there, you know, it took off, and they became devotees eventually. You know, it starts off, you know, can I help wash some pots or something? You know, so then you make more progress in the beginning by just taking prasadam, then by, you know, wanting to reciprocate and doing some service, you know, washing pots or clean the temple or something, and like that, you know, you slowly progress more and more. So yeah, that's how the Naradhamas, that's how the lowest of humans, you know, can become uplifted.
But
like
that's that. You know, it's interesting how people know about the ISKCON temples, or you know, by the food, the prasadam that's served, because that's how my father will say, oh, how's it going, and he calls it Hare Krishna, how's it.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, he said, anyway, whatever, you can eat there very nicely. They have nice food.
So he doesn't know much about it, but that's one thing he knows, that they have nice food. Yeah. So yeah, Prabhupada said we will be known as the kitchen religion. We'll be known as the kitchen religion. Yeah. The food is so, of course, eating is the most essential bodily requirement. So, and we can connect that with spirituality, because everyone has to do it, so, and we can spiritualize that process by offering to Krishna and then distributing that food, and Krishna becomes very pleased and other people also happy. It's such a nice process. But yeah, very hard to attract the Naradhamas, but this process is so attractive. But definitely people are not attracted to someone saying, like I used to see that, Christians standing at the side of the road and preaching out loudly, surrender to Jesus or you're going to go to hell, surrender to Jesus or you're going to go to hell, like that. That's not attractive. We're rebels. We're not going to take that very well. You're telling me I have to surrender to this guy, otherwise I'm going to go to hell, stuff you, mate, get lost, so we don't take that very well. But like we take a lot better, if you see people very happy on the street, like dancing and singing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, then you become attracted. Wow, they look so happy. I want to be happy. They look so blissful. I want to be blissful. Wow, I want to dance too. I love dancing, like that. So that's a better process rather than just telling someone what to do. You do it yourself, enjoy. So, when people see you're so happy by following the process, they'll want to do it too. So that's what Lord Chaitanya did and his followers, Lord Nityananda, right through to Prabhupada 500 years later, doing the same thing. And walking the talk. Walk the talk. Yeah. Yeah.
I think, like how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 500 years ago.
Yeah.
Or now it'll be more than that. But wouldn't it be nice if at every 100 or 200 years, like, we just someone to demonstrate all the time? I think someone, because there's so many people who don't. And
yeah, but I mean, Prabhupada was here like only 50 years ago. He demonstrated, and it was, completely ecstatic. That energy is still the same energy, is always there. It's not that, it's only there when God's there. It's always there. You just got to learn how to tap into it. That ecstatic energy is there all the time, but you just got to learn to tap into it. It's said that there's one verse saying that I'm just trying to remember the Sanskrit. I can't remember it right now, but it's saying that in Kali Yuga, that Krishna has incarnated in the form of his holy name.
His holy name.
Nama Rupa Avatar. That he's incarnated in this age of Kali in the form, the Rupa. He's incarnated avatar in the form, which is Rupa, of the Nama, the name. So then the name of God is God. The name of God is God. So it's just a matter of connecting up with that pure name. So especially with a pure devotee is chanting the name, then Krishna is fully present. Krishna is fully present. So all you need is to be in a place where the devotees are lovingly, talking about the Lord and chanting his names and like that. There's one verse saying that, this is Lord Narayan saying that, well, this is Krishna saying, actually. Krishna saying that, I do not reside in Vaikuntha. And we might think, oh, what? No, but that's where God is. God's in Vaikuntha in the spiritual world. But here he's saying, I do reside in Vaikuntha. And then he says, I do not reside in the heart of the yogi. And we go, what? But God is in the heart of the yogis, right? That's what they're meditating on, God in their heart. But then he said, I'm not in Vaikuntha. I'm not in the heart of the yogi. Where I am, he's actually, this is Krishna speaking to Narada Muni. So he's saying, Narada, where I am is Yatra Gayanti Madbhakta. That where I am is wherever my devotees, Madbhakta, are Gayanti. They're chanting about me. They're glorifying me. So wherever the devotees are glorifying the Lord, that's where Krishna is. Krishna's incarnated there. Krishna's present there. So that energy was there when Lord Chaitanya was on the earth, and that energy was there when Prabhupada was on the earth, and that energy is still there now. You know, wherever devotees are lovingly, you know, glorifying the Lord's names and pastimes and qualities and everything like that, then that energy is there, and that will purify us and uplift us and everything like that. So, but we've just got to learn to tap into that, you know, and that's why, you know, the satsanga, sadhu sangha is recommended, you know, to devotees to come together. And what do devotees do when they come together? Go and watch a movie or something like that? Go to McDonald's? No. We hear about God and talk about him and honor his prasadam and everything. And now, of course, with the help of this technology, now that's going on through Zoom and Skype and so many things, because it's hard to physically meet, you know, due to the modern times. It's hard, you know, people to physically, you know, meet up. Previously, people used to live in villages, and it was very easy. So you know, during the day you grow your rice and your vegetables and stuff, and in the evening, you know, you take a bath and you all meet up in the local hall, in the local village hall, or just outside in the paddock or whatever, and you know, have a pandal, put up the bamboos and the cloth or whatever. And in the evening, and then you have your Ram Katha, Bhagavad Katha, Krishna Katha, they used to call it. And then have nice bhajans and kirtan, and then have prasad. And then go to bed thinking about the Lord, and then wake up and do your puja, go to work again, and then same thing again the next night. So every night there would be so many, you know, people getting together, having the Bhagavad Kathas, Krishna Ram Kathas, and nice bhajan and prasadam, and go to bed and like that. Nice system. So the beginning of the day, you do your puja, do your, you know, your puja and your japa and everything, do your, you know, worship the deities, then go out, do your work, whatever that may be, so many kinds of work, and in the evening come together and, you know, discuss about God and hear about God and everything like that. And what a nice lifestyle. Now, because we don't have so many villages anymore like that, and we're all separated by great distances, so now we can take advantage of technologies and meet up and do the same thing, you know, talking about God like that. So maybe one day it's coming in the future that we'll be getting back to villages again. Let's see. I hope so. Because it's ideal, very ideal, living in that way. You know, growing your own food and helping each other out and like that, and associating, you know, with God in the center like that. That's very nice, you know. So, but this is still good in that we can connect up with other devotees that are talking about God or doing kirtans and things like that. And as you know, when you go to India, then you can do it physically, you know, be in the room with so many people that are chanting, and you know, isn't it very enlivening, Deepa? You would experience that, right? You know, having thousands of people, you know, glorifying the Lord in the room, like in the temple or whatever. It's very powerful. The feeling is very uplifting, isn't it?
Totally. I mean, and most uplifting in Mayapur.
Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, Mayapur for me is just sends my heart out through my brain and into space.
But although in 2019 when we all went, that was really, I mean, it was really magical. Yeah. I don't know whether it was because it was Karthik or what, but last December when I went, It was all it was different. It was a lot quieter. Yeah.
It'll be quieter because of all the travel restrictions have been the last few years have been difficult.
Even
a lot of
all
people.
those stalls, like that were selling things like just further down the road, like past Govindas and all that, were not there. There were no stalls, nothing.
Yeah, well, it's a stupid thing, with all the lockdown. It just collapsed all around the world. So many small businesses, they couldn't sustain themselves in New Zealand and Australia and India. Collapsed a lot of small businesses, like that. So it's been a difficult few years, but still, we can still take shelter of the Lord, just the same way as when Krishna was there 5,000 years ago, Lord Chaitanya. Because people make that point, that, it'd be so much easier if just God was here, then it would be attractive, easier like that, But the point is, Prabhupada mentions this quite a few times, that even when God was present, when Krishna was on the earth, Lord Chaitanya was on the earth, not everyone took to Krishna consciousness or, got attracted to Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada, I heard him say the other day, it was only, he said, 100 or maybe 200 people knew that Krishna was God when he was on the earth. Most people thought he was an ordinary human being. Most people thought Krishna was an ordinary, but he said very powerful human being. People thought he was a very powerful human being, but they still thought he was an ordinary human being. His Prabhupada said only 100, maybe 200 realized that this is actually God. Like that. So it's not automatic that, even if God was on the earth, it's not automatically going to become easy. You still have to be very sincere in everything to really be able to take advantage of that, like that. So still, that mercy is always available, even, physically it might not be he's here, but he is here in the holy name. He's here in the association of devotees, and those things are always available, like that, always available. Even like behind me, right? Prabhupada's books, 24/7, they're there. I can open them up and I'm hearing the glories of the Lord. And it's also said Srimad Bhagavatam is an incarnation of Krishna. It's an incarnation of Krishna. So yeah, we can connect with Krishna, through the books or the prasadam, the holy name, being with the devotees, like that. And, that's why I'm still practicing after 30 years, because I've felt some things, I've had some experiences that satisfied my heart, completely, and I know there's nothing more than that. There's nothing more. There's nothing better I could be doing than this, feel completely satisfied. So yeah, definitely that energy is still there. You just got to tap into it. And we don't experience it all the time, but that's okay too, because when you're not experiencing it, but you remember when you did, and you think, I want it again. I want it again. Where is that nectar? I know I tasted a drop of that nectar a few years ago or whatever, and I want it more. I want more, because you become like an addict, right? But this is like a spiritual addict. Instead of wanting the pea or the cocaine or heroin more, you're wanting that, love for Krishna, that taste more, so you had experienced it, and you want more, and that's what keeps you in the loop, like that. So
yeah. All we can do is try. Okay.
Yeah, and so you have plans to go to India again, and
yeah, in December. Well, it's also because I've never been to Kerala or to anywhere. I mean, that time in 2019 was the first time I went to India.
yes, yeah.
And this time it's down to, so, and because I've got family and